I sure miss seeing you guys and being able to read to you. So, I found a story that I could share with you through a video. This is called The Dog Who Had Kittens. Seems kind of strange. I've never heard of a dog having kittens before. So let's get started with our book. Let's find out how this dog had kittens. Baxter was a basset hound, and he was in the backyard enjoying the smells of spring. Suddenly he heard a fuss. "Eloise," the boy shouted. "Everyone, come look at Eloise." Baxter trotted toward the back of the garage. He got there just as the boy's parents did, and he had to push his head between the people's legs to see what was going on. There, lying on the side of the box, was Eloise. When she saw Baxter, her hair bristled and she hissed. Baxter just had time to see the little bodies attached to her belly before the boy led him away toward the oak tree. "You'd better stay here for a while," said the boy. "We're going to move Eloise into the house with the kittens. She's very nervous." So Baxter was chained to a tree and abandoned. "Kittens," he thought, "just what I need. More cats around here. More attention for Eloise and less attention for me." He lifted his head and howled. Hours went by. No one even looked at him. It was almost dinner time when, to his surprise, Eloise herself came toward the house. "Congratulations," he said as sincerely as he could. Eloise was licking her paw. "Oh, marvelous. Aren't they just marvelous?" she said. "Well, how many are there?" "7, and 3 of them look just like me, and they're gorgeous." Baxter slumped down in the grass. 7 kittens. This is worse than I thought." "That's nice," he said miserably. "How long am I going to be an outcast then?" "It wasn't my idea to chain you up. All the same, I'd appreciate it if you would stay away for a while. I know you're a very good fellow, but I must warn you. Don't come near my kittens." And she stalked off toward the house. Finally, the boy fed Baxter and scratched him and hugged him. But the ball didn't come out, and Baxter wasn't invited for a walk. Worst of all, Baxter had to go to bed in the garage. It was like that for 3 days. Baxter was allowed back in the house, but not in the laundry room where the kittens were in a box. But he could still hear them crying the whole time. One day, the family left the house, but didn't quite shut the laundry room door. Baxter nosed it open and pushed inside. He could hear the kittens crying. Eloise was nowhere in sight. Baxter hung his head over the side of the box and took a good look. Suddenly, he didn't feel a little bit jealous. They were so tiny, he thought. Their eyes weren't even open, and they can't even hold their little heads up or walk. The meowing babies seemed to be scratching and searching. Their cries were the most pitiful sounds he had ever heard. Suddenly, Baxter was furious with Eloise. Where was she? How could she leave her babies alone? They need to eat. Baxter began to pace the room. The kittens' cries grew louder. "Oh, why doesn't anyone come help them?" Baxter thought. Finally, he went back to the box. The kittens were in a ball in the one corner. Delicately, Baxter stepped into the box. He lay down very carefully, taking most of the extra space. The kittens sensed his warmth and began to pull themselves toward him, crying louder than ever. Blindly, they stumbled and tumbled over each other until they were between him and his front paws. Little muzzles scooted his fur. Little mouths sucked at his legs and neck. Little paws with needles massaged him. Baxter was afraid to move it for fear of crushing one of them. He held still for a very long time, and at last the kittens fell asleep. He sniffed and poked at them gently with his big nose. All at once, he felt happier than he had felt before. I did it, he thought. I helped them. They feel safe now. This is wonderful. Suddenly, there was Eloise with eyes like embers. Eloise gave him a hard look, leaping into the box, and began to sniff and push the kittens. They began to wake up and cry. "Get out," Eloise said. Baxter carefully climbed out of the box. I didn't hurt them. I can see that. But it's feeding time and you're in the way. Past feeding time, Baxter said, remembering his anger. Poor little kittens crying. Where were you then? None of your business. And don't think I don't know my business. Kittens are always hungry, they think. I have to get away from them from time to time. Baxter looked at Eloise. The kittens were suckling. A pretty sight, he said humbly. There are all the kittens climbing over Baxter. Once the family realized that Eloise trusted Baxter around the kittens, everyone relaxed. He would come to them and he could go as he liked. To everyone's surprise, he did spend most of his time with the kittens. Since Eloise only came around to feed and wash her babies, it was really Baxter who took care of them. The kittens seemed to think that her nose, tail, and especially his long ears, were part of a playground. Baxter was with the little kittens when they opened their eyes and when they began to walk. When they first learned how to climb out of a box, he nearly went crazy trying to keep up with them. He had forgotten about his old life until one day, when the kittens were several weeks old, the boy came downstairs, whistling and tossing a ball. Come on, Baxter, let's go to the field. Baxter suddenly remembered old times, ran outside, and trotted happily along the boy's bicycle. They played fetch and went into the woods nearby. Baxter dug up an old catcher's mitt, and to his joy, the boy let him keep it. When Baxter got home, he lay down and gave his mitt a thorough chew. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Eloise vanish through the cat door. Suddenly, he remembered about the kittens. Baxter raced to the house, nosed the door, skid across the kitchen floor, and into the laundry room. The box was empty. Sniffing, Baxter searched for the kittens. He couldn't find a single one. He couldn't hear them. Where had they gone? He sat and howled. Eloise and the boy appeared. Well, they're gone, of course, said Eloise. Gone? Where? Where could they have gone? I leave for one day and they vanish, said Baxter. They didn't need us anymore, Eloise said. They have homes of their own, where they can go and be cats now. Goodness, did you not notice how big they were getting? Baxter hardly ate his food that night. He laid at the boy's feet after dinner, and when the family finally went to bed, he tried to sleep. But he couldn't. He was just too lonely. Finally, he got up and went into the laundry room, where the box was full of moonlight. He snuggled up, comforted by the kitten's smell. He was still feeling too sad to sleep when, with a soft thud, Eloise landed next to him and curled up by his head. It occurred to me, I never did thank you for all your help. You're welcome. I enjoyed every minute of it, said Baxter. Eloise began to lick his ear. Well, she said, I have to admit it's kind of strange without them. It's good to know that I might have some more kittens someday. Anyway, I'm glad you're still here. Oh, Eloise, really? Baxter sighed happily. He fell asleep at last when Eloise licked and licked his ear, just as though he were a little kitten. This story reminds me that things are really different right now, and that sometimes we wish we could go back to the way they used to be, just like when we were going to school every day. Hope y'all enjoyed the story about the dog who had kittens. It's really the dog who took care of the kittens. And I will see you all soon with a new story. Have a good day.